welcome to episode number 20 of the Backdoor Podcast. This time we are with two-time NCAA national champ, Villanova legend, Baltimore legend, Phil Booth. Phil, what's up, man? Thanks for coming on. How you doing?
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
So we're working with some...
Appreciate you coming, Phil.
Yeah, we're working with some spotty Wi-Fi in Lithuania. Levi and Phil both playing in Belgium, but they're on the road right now in Lithuania. So we're trying to work through some difficulties, and I think we'll be okay. But Phil, excited to talk with you. I got a lot of questions kind of about your career, about your upbringing, kind of about life and basketball. So I want to start all the way back to your youth. And I read you grew up in Baltimore. Baltimore is a city that doesn't have an NBA team, and a lot of people maybe overlook the basketball culture and scene in Baltimore. But guys like Carmelo, Muggsy Bogues, Sam Cassell, Rudy Gay came out of Baltimore. I'm curious to hear from you what that basketball scene is or was like in Baltimore.
Basketball is deeply part of Baltimore, to be honest. Growing up, that's all I played. You know, yeah, guys like Will Barton, Rudy Gay too, that were a little bit older. It came up. There's so many great players that came from my area, and we kind of really took just kind of like the Baltimore toughness to the court. You know, it kind of was like the thing on Baltimore playing basketball. You had to be tough out there. So,
what is the competition like? I know I as far as that surrounding area, I watched a documentary about PG County, I think, and that's pretty close, right?
Yeah, PG County got some players. They got KD, Mike Beasley, Vic Oladipo, Jeremy Grant. So the PG County area has always been great. You know, it's high school. They had the WCAC. That's like a really good high school league out there. When I was growing up, that was like one of the best leagues in the country. So the competition out that way has always been great. And then Baltimore's always had its own side of competition as well. So it's been a great whenever you got a chance to play against those guys.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That matchup, you know, you guys going back and forth and just being in that area. Do y'all ever go in the park and get together and play those guys in those areas?
You know, it's crazy. We only about like 45 minutes apart from Baltimore to DC, but Baltimore dudes don't go to that DC, and DC guys, PG County guys don't go to Baltimore. So it'd be kind of like AAU or high school. We kind of match up, and those games would be a big deal wherever you played at. If you went out to DC or played against DeMatha, or if DeMatha came into Baltimore and played against like Lake Clifton or St. Francis, those were huge deals, and both teams wanted to win because, you know, we all thought our basketball was better than other person's.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Did you play any other sports growing up? I know you said you kind of mentioned you played a lot of basketball. Did you play any other sports, or was it always basketball for you?
You broke up there, Evan. Go ahead and you might have to repeat that one. We lost you for a second.
Okay. Did you play any other sports growing up? Or I know you kind of mentioned it was always basketball. Is that all you ever played, or did you ever think about playing a different sport?
It happened again.
Can you hear me okay right now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, but then it just popped up and said my internet connection is unstable, so might have to try it one more time.
Okay, no problem. Did you play any other sports growing up, or was it always basketball for you? You kind of mentioned you played a lot of basketball, but did you ever consider other sports?
I played baseball for a second, wasn't no good at that. And I played football all the way up until high school. That's when I really chose basketball. I was quarterback, and I played like corner, and I played a little bit of safety. But that's the three positions I played all the way up from, I think, 6 up until 13, 14. So football was I love football, but not as much as I did basketball.
Do you feel like it's important to play multiple sports growing up? You know, for the youth, that's been one of our biggest debates on the podcast. You know, we asked other athletes about their engagement in other sports growing up. You know, some athletes say, you know, it's important to play multiple because, you know, it makes you well-rounded, and others say, you know, you should specialize in one. What's your view on it?
I think you can try out all three because you don't know, whatever it is, you don't know which one you might really like more than the other one. You might really love one, and you might play another one that kind of like, but you're only playing one sport. But I feel like being able to choose or know which one I really like was a big deal because at one point I didn't know. It wasn't always basketball. It was like football a lot too. But then it came to a point where I was able to decide because I like both. So I think it's good to play both, to be honest, or as many as you can.
At what point did you realize basketball was your future? Why'd you pick basketball over football? Was there a moment or just a year where you're like, you know what, I can do this for a really long time, and this is what I'm going to focus on?
I think I just liked it more. I was actually better at football at the time that I chose to play basketball. So I just enjoyed playing basketball more. It was just funner for me and something I feel like I could really just dive into even more. And it was one of those things where I didn't know how long I would play for, but I know I wanted to just strictly focus on it. And that's what became basketball for me.
So when did you start getting recruited? I mean, when did you realize basketball was the future for you?
Quickly in the high school, I got my freshman year, started getting a little bit of looks, not any offers yet. But it was getting interest from D1 schools, which was was not something I thought about when I was going to be a freshman in high school or coming in. And then going into my sophomore year, I was playing AAU with Team Takeover, team out of DC, and I think Rutgers was the first school to offer me. So I was like, oh wow, like that was my first offer. And then it kind of took off from there, but I had no idea until then that schools started offering me this early, or like how that process starts really working. You just go to high school to play ball. Go to school, you never realize how quick all the recruitment process really starts.
What made you choose Villanova?
They were early. Villanova came around my sophomore year, kind of early in the mix, and it was just the best fit. I like the guards there that came there before them that could really play, the freedom the guards had. I had a good connection with Coach Wright. I like going up to Villanova for the Hoops Mania and the events, like the team, I like the way they did things up there. Only an hour 40 away from home on the drive, so it was a great place for me. I really enjoyed it there, and it turned out great.
I know we had talked about it, earlier when we first met when we got here, but I was saying Villanova was one of the schools I watched growing up. Scotty Reynolds has always been one of my favorite college basketball players. I used to try to kind of want to be Scotty when I was younger, just the way he played, and I thought he was a great player. Is that one of the things that drew you to the school? Is some of the great guards that had come through before you?
100%. I mean, Scotty Reynolds, Corey Fisher, Kyle Lowry, Malik Waynes. I mean, those guards could really play. And I feel like Coach Wright was giving guards that type of freedom at a time where that wasn't always the case. A lot of the places, I feel like he was one of the first to do that. Playing small ball, had Randy Ford, Mike Nardi. So I felt like just the opportunity there, was going to be great for me. And I was coming in a time where you could play a lot of guys at Villanova. A lot of places don't play that many guys together at the same time.
Hey, Levi, when you talk, I guess maybe hold the mic a little further away because you're holding it closer than he is. And so when when you talk, it gets like real loud. When he talks, is it kind of a normal volume? So just keep that in mind. All right. Gotcha. So were there other schools that you were considering? I mean, were you close to picking somewhere other than Villanova, or was it pretty much Villanova the lead throughout the whole process?
It came down to Georgetown was in the mix heavy. I actually they ran a Princeton offense, but I loved everything about Georgetown. Besides that, I liked Indiana. It was coming down to them, and what was the last one? I like Florida too, but Villanova kind of stuck out a little bit. Back in Indiana, they had a good. It was Tom Crean was there, and Oladipo just left. Yogi Ferrell was there, so they were kind of doing well. But UVA was in the mix too. I just didn't like the slow ball they play over there. It was still too slow for me. But I love a lot of the places Villanova kind of really stood out.
I know for me, coming from high school to college, it was a big adjustment, to be able to get on the court. Going to Alabama, they had a good season the season before. I wanted to contribute going in, but for me, the game was just a lot faster. Mm-hmm. So offensively, I struggled. But I had to find a way to get on the court. So my thing was, I hung my hat on the defensive end, dive or, loose balls, rebound, whatever it could do to help the team. Mm-hmm. That's what got me on the court. How was your adjustment, jumping from, the high school being a top guard to going to a big college like that?
To be honest, it's probably backwards. Mine was more defense. I was easily able to kind of grasp my way offensively on there because shoot the ball well, and I was able to do well. But coming into practice and stuff when I got there, it was the defense, physicality, fighting up screens was like a whole new thing for me. I never had to do that in high school like that. College screens, dudes are really screening you, and just get adjusted to like the physical part of the game and be able to get stops and boxing out dudes that are weigh 100 more pounds than you. So that was probably the biggest adjustment coming in. Just learn how to do that and make sure coach can trust me playing defense so I can get on the floor.
All right. So you may have seen it. Scenery's changed just a little bit. We stopped the recording and started over with some better Wi-Fi. You guys are back in Belgium now?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, cool. So let's get back to it. So we just talked about kind of the transition from college or from high school to college. But do you have any moments in that first year where it kind of clicked for you? You're like, I made it. Like this is, I can do this.
I take it back to my freshman year. I think practice just began. We just started really practicing. I'm past the summer, so I'm getting into a certain groove. And Javon Pinkston was on the team. He was he might have been like a 6-year senior at that point. I caught him on the break and I dunked on him. And that was like coach gave me hype. Everybody was hyped for me. I kind of felt like, okay, I'm finally getting comfortable right here. I'm finally making my my steps, get my groove with the team. But that was my big moment for me, dunking on the team captain of the team.
Did you have doubts? Did you have doubts before that?
I didn't have doubts, but I just thought like college was crazy, just with all the conditioning we was doing and how hard they were asking me to play. I was like, man, this shit nuts. You know what I mean? So it wasn't doubts like skill wise or how I could play. It was more doubts like, man, can I make it through this through this fire?
Right.
No, I understand. I think that's common for freshmen. Everybody goes through that, but you always have that one moment. Everybody has that one moment where it wakes you up and be like, oh yeah, I got this. I can play here.
Have you ever shared yours, Levi?
I haven't. I don't think I have. And I look back and it was a similar situation to what Phil just said. We were doing drills. Preseason is crazy. Everybody's fighting for a spot. As a freshman, you're coming in, you got guys that, played the previous year that think they're about to, be the ones on the court. And for me, we had this drill called alley drill where you had to play one-on-one full court, but you had to stay within the lane lines. Coach would put cones all the way, from each side of the lane all the way down the court. So they say one-on-one in between. So it's kind of a defensive drill, guarding your man, but then it's, basketball offense is part of basketball. So it's an offensive drill too. But I think my coming to college moment, to where I was like, I belong, is where I was going against a guy that had played the previous year, Charles Hankerson. And, he was talking a lot of trash. And it was just one of those situations where, I got a good step on him. I made it on the court. And we did alley drill with a heavy ball. A heavy ball. It wasn't a regular ball. So we did that with the yellow heavy ball. And so I got past him and I bumped him and I dunked it. And everybody was like, ooh. And when I did that, I'm like, oh yeah, this is my spot. Like I'm playing this year. And that was that one moment where I think up until then, you just like you said, Phil, it's just like, dang, this is crazy. Am I gonna make it through? But it's just that one when that light bulb comes on, it's like, okay, I can wake up some people. I can wake up coach and just show them like, I can find a way on this court this year.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And stuff. It sounds like the coming of age moment is always a lower classman punking an upperclassman or someone that's been there for a while. It sounds like that's a common
need to do it. Got to set the
thread.
tone on one time.
Yeah. Hey, so you guys won the national title your sophomore year, and in that game you led the team with 20 points. Did you did you going into the game know that you were going to have a big night? Like people get asked that question all the time. Were you feeling it before the game? But like, honestly, going into the national championship as a sophomore, what were you feeling?
I mean, I was 6 men at that point, so I was just like, man, just come in, just try to make an impact somehow try to do something good in the game. I mean, it could be steals or whatever, because you never know how them type games are going to go. You know, championship game and how it's going to play out. I know I was going to be out there, but you never know when shots going to come from. So I was just like, man, try to make an impact, just play the way you've been playing. Up to that point, I think I had 10 points a game before against Oklahoma, so I've been scoring a little bit in the tournament, and I got in the groove, I think, in the second half, and it just, once you're out there in that rhythm, we just rolling. Everybody starts looking for you. The shots start coming. You're scoring a little bit. I think I had 7.5, and then I was getting to the line, so I was in a good rhythm and ended up having 20. So it was one of those things where I kind of got hot. And I kind of just stayed with it, and the team kind of just stayed with me on it. To be honest,
That rim started to get big, don't it?
yeah. It's like, man, no way I'm missing. Just want to get a good look up. It's one of those things where just started rolling.
Yeah.
Do you have any specific memories from either that game or that tournament run in general that stand out to you?
Shoot, man. There's a few. I thought we was about to lose. We played that Kansas team in the Elite Eight. I think it was a Sweet 16.
Was that with Malik Newman and Devontae Graham?
No, but Devontae Graham, but not Malik Newman. This is Devontae Graham, Frank Mason, Perry Ellis, Brandon Lucas, Wayne Selden, Check. They had a mob.
Ooh.
They had a mob. That was better than the Malik Newman team.
Yeah.
That I played 2 years later. So we won by dove on loose ball, like last play of the game type thing, 1-3.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably our toughest game, to be honest. I mean, North Carolina was a tough game, but we were up in that game in the second half. We kind of missed some free throws late, and they kind of came back. But that Kansas team, that was one of those games where I was like, man, we snuck out of there, and then we went on to the Final Four, and then we blew out Oklahoma, and then North Carolina, we took care of them. But yeah, that was.
Does it ever sink in? Does it ever sink in like, damn, I'm a national champion?
Yeah, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy.
And we haven't even talked about, 2-time national champion. We only talked about the first one. That's just like, when I think about that, bro, that's crazy. That's like, not many people could say that.
Yeah, you understand the grind that it takes to just to get to the tournament, go through the season, everybody healthy, then to win the tournament. You know what I mean? That's like winning the tournament is like a whole different season. Once the tournament hits, everything you did before, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So it was a blur though, just winning it and how we won it with a game-winning shot, like how Chris hit it. It was just like we were just on the cloud 9 for so long. I just didn't really take in the damn. I really want a chip like that. And then now I come back years later, I look back on like, yeah, that shit was wild. It's just kind of like one of those things where I remember every moment of it, of winning it and after, but it was still a blur. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So after a good sophomore season, you go into the next year, only get to play a few games, and you were injured, right? And you were out for the season. After coming off a big year like that, how frustrating is it to suffer that injury, and how'd you deal with that frustration during recovery?
It was so weird. It was so weird to everybody around it, because I was the year that I won the chip, I was playing with the bad knee that I ended up sitting out for. So I had it. My knee was messed up that whole year. Like if you see the game, I had a big sleeve on my knee. And it wasn't like a really some serious thing. It was kind of one of those things that nobody could figure out what it was. And then I came back that next year, like didn't play it the whole year because it never was right. They never could really figure out what it was going on. I had to go home to a home doctor to really figure out what the injury was to get it right. But it was weird just sitting out like that. We were we were really good too. We had a chance to really, I don't know. People say we could have won it again. I don't know. But we were really good. That team was still a 1 seed, like number 1 overall seed that year. They were Josh Hart's last year, and we were really good. But it was tough to sit on the side knowing that we were probably could have made another run. And it was another year I missed out on. never really missed out on the year, missed out on the whole year of basketball before till then.
What got you through that?
Um, just my family and my friends. I was just staying locked in up there, just doing what I can, lifting. I dove into the weight room that year because I couldn't really hoop that much. Second half of the year, like later towards the year, I was able to practice a little bit. But just focusing on each day and my rehab, my knee, and kind of getting it right, and just taking care of the stuff that I probably missed out on beforehand.
So then the next year you play a couple games, or would you get to like the middle of the season? You broke your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So so at that point you miss a whole season and you break your hand. You're gonna have to miss more games. Was there a point where you felt like your body was starting to break down? Like, did you ever feel like, oh man, maybe this isn't for me?
It was so weird, like how everything was so weird with that. Played the whole year, my knees are fine, and I just well, I broke my hand probably in January, February, so we were kind of 20 games in. Reaching on a random play, broke it. I knew right when I did that, I broke it, and I was just like, damn. I just kind of like some bad luck, with injuries. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like a little bug, and I was out. I missed like 8 games and was able to come back right before the. I played a few final regular season games right before the Big East tournament. And I came back, but it was strange, man. I thought that was the one that really bothered me the most. I knew I had a bad knee, but then coming back that next year, and playing all year, being healthy, feeling good, getting back into that rhythm, and I break my hand. I'm like, damn, So that was a tough one, but I was glad I only missed a little bit of time with that.
Levi, you actually was it last season you suffered your first injury, had to sit out for a few games. For a guy that hasn't sat out very often, what was that like for you mentally?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I've been blessed and fortunate to be able to play a career where, everything's been pretty minor as far as, little bumps and bruises here where I can get through it. I've had one surgery, but that was in the off season, so I didn't really have to miss any time. And then to be able to play, the whole season last year, and COVID was kind of weird bouncing around and whatnot, but to be in Australia and then have a hamstring issue and have to miss, 4 or 5 games, that was tough for me to have to sit on the sideline. But it kind of woke me up to the fact of, as you get older in your career, it's okay to sit down sometimes and have to miss. Your body needs rest. In the NBA, you see a lot of guys with the load management. That's a big thing now, to where they miss some games just to make sure their body is okay, that they can make it through a season. I think we feel like we have to be tough and we have to push through every game the whole season. But sometimes your body, it talks to you and it'll tell you what it needs, and sometimes it needs some rest. So that's kind of what I took out of last season when I had to sit out those few games.
Right on, right on. So, Phil, back to you. In that junior season, you did come back, you did play, and you guys ended up with your second national title. So you, at that point, 2 national titles, 2 big Final Four runs. Um, can you point to one of those years as more memorable than the other?
I mean, 100% the second one, because winning the first one was like you're not coming into the season thinking about winning national championship or anything. The first one was kind of just like we thought we were good enough, and we got on a run and we got hot and we just stayed with it. We just rode the wave. But that second one, we were number one most of the year, number one overall seed going to the tourney. So a lot of people were kind of picking us to win it. And we thought we were great. We would never say it to each other, but we thought like nobody could really mess with us. It was a whole different vibe. You know what I'm saying? One thing to be like on hot, but it's another thing to know like no matter what we do, we think we can beat these dudes. And that was that year for 2018. I think to do it again and just how like the team camaraderie we had and the belief we had in each other to know that we could really win it again and kind of be able to do that twice with how many dudes came back from the first one. We had Lee, Jalen, and Mikael. Pass was on the bench, DiVincenzo. So we had guys won one before, and then to know that we could lock in and do it again and actually did it, and how we did it, blowing people out, was that was way more memorable to me than the first one, probably, just because it was the end goal and we got it.
So from a fan perspective, we love March Madness for the hype, the drama, upsets, the thrill of our team making a run, whatever it might be. You were a part of many NCAA tournament games, and with 2 national titles under your belt, you've clearly been on some deep runs. So I want to hear how you explain March Madness from a player's perspective in terms of emotions, mental toughness, requirements, and just dealing with expectations.
I mean, to be honest, the stuff off the court is probably the worst part. That shit's ass. Like, just with the media, and you can't really it's just a lot of distractions. So much media every day, before practice, after practice. Our biggest thing was just focusing on our practice time and make sure we're locked in when we got to practice and scout reports. There's so many distractions. The hotel of the Final Four is a zoo. It's like everybody's down in the lobby, at the bar. We had to go to just to go to the film room. Coach didn't want us to go in the lobby because people were just smaller. So we would go through like the kitchen elevator through our rooms. Like, we had security on the floors. It's just a lot more distractions. I think the biggest thing to do is just, the farther you go, just stay more locked in and focused, because that's how stuff gets going sideways. But once the game starts, it doesn't even once we were playing in that, was it the Alamo Dome, the Houston Dome, it's 80,000, 90,000 in there, smack middle of a football stadium. But it doesn't feel like it when you're out there. When you start playing and going, it feels like a regular game, So I feel like the best part is when you play. The worst part is just everything off the court that you got to do with it.
That's awesome. So, all right, you finished your career as the 9th player in Villanova history to score 1,500 points, 300 assists. You also played in a school record 148 games. I'll ask broadly, but I'll let you answer however you want. What does it mean to be one of the most decorated, successful, and memorable players to ever play for such a historic program?
I mean, that's special, considering going to Villanova, a place that's known for its guards, and to kind of be thrown in that same room with those guys is pretty crazy, to be honest. One of the reasons I went to Villanova was because of the guards, and how I let the guards play, and Coach I let them play and all this stuff. But to now be done with it and come back and look at it, and be in that mix and be in those conversations with those other guys is special. Kind of stuff you don't think about when you're going to Villanova, but it's real special when you're in it, you're in the mix of it, and you come back and see it. It's something I definitely don't take for granted.
So we've had a lot of guys on here that have left school early. They may not have gotten drafted, but each one we've talked to has said they'd be successful in some way or another, right? And so it's not always about getting drafted. It's just about taking that next step. But I'm wondering if you can shed some light on the other side of that, right? Was there ever a time that you thought you might leave early, and what made you ultimately stay so long?
I can't lie. When I had 20 in national chip, even though I knew I needed surgery, that was the only time I thought about leaving early. Like, man, I might I might test this window right here, see if it's still hot on the other side for me, to see what even if I have to come back, or even if I don't do weight, just to get feedback. But I needed surgery that year, and so it didn't even go that way. But I did 5, so I sat out 1 and then came back, and I was able to play my last year when I was really able to play, really have the ball in my hands a lot. So it's the experience is great playing in college. I think it made me a lot better player coming out, a lot more ready coming out. I also think it depends on the players too. A lot of guys don't like college, don't like the school aspect, want to leave. None of that really bothered me, but I definitely think the guys that did 3 or 4. You can speak to my teammate Mikal Bridges. He was like in school for 4, played 3. You see how ready he was coming into the league. I think it does have an effect coming out and playing those 4 years. Levi, you did 4, right?
Yeah, I did 4.
Yeah, Yeah.
I know I was a lot more ready, like you said, coming out. And I look at guys that have stayed, 3-4 years. I feel like as far as the school's history and, being respected at the school, I think the school remembers that a lot more. And, they cherish that a lot more when you stay and you do more time and are in front of their eyes longer. I feel like, they feel a sense of loyalty, when you're able to stay 3 or 4 years with the school. I mean, there's nothing wrong with the guys that leave, 1 or 2 years, but just as far as from the fans' perspective, I think, they hold on to that, longer when you stay 4 or 5 years, like you said.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like you going back to Alabama, when I go back to Nova, it's all love. Like those people remember all that stuff. And the school
Yeah.
faculty, the presidents, they all love you for it. You kind of build a bond up at that school. It's kind of like a second home to you. So I loved my time at Villanova. I really did. I wouldn't change it, to be honest. Going the way it went and how it went. So, but it definitely depends on the person. But you definitely, when you do 4 or 5, you build a different relationship with your coach, the community, everybody around you.
Yeah, and when you're there for that length of time, they say home is where you have the most positive moments. And, like for me being in Alabama for 4 years and having, I feel like just such a great time, I feel like that's become more of a home. I won't say more of a home than my hometown because, your hometown is always your home, but
Right.
the University of Alabama is like, that's where my heart is always going to be at, I feel
Yeah.
like maybe the same for you at Villanova.
100%. Yep. Always go up there. Always love going in summertime. Come up a couple times a year. Like when I was in DC playing Capital City, I would always go to Nova. Only like an hour and 30 train ride, 2 hour drive. But right up there, it always feels like every time you hit on campus, man, it's like a different feeling. Like, damn, these were the days
Yeah.
right here.
Hmm.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. One more question about college, or just your upbringing. Um, when you reflect on your time at Nova, or like I said, further back, if you want to talk about high school or junior high, whatever it um, is there are there any specific people that you could say were or are the biggest influences in your life?
Of course, my mom and dad. I mean, my pop too. My pop, taught me the game basically too. So I mean, I learned everything from them too. That's always been my support system. Always with anything I do in life. I've had some great coaches in my life, but I've had nobody that's ever really come close to that type of level for me. So then my mom and dad. My high school coach I was really cool with. And Coach Jay Wright, I became, especially, like we were talking about doing so many years of college, you build a relationship with your coach, but that last year, me and him were eye to eye on everything, all through communication. So uh I would say those few people right there, my mom and dad and my two sisters are probably the most constant in anything on a different type of level in terms of influence in my life.
Awesome. Awesome stuff. All right. So uh, let's talk about the pro career just a little bit. So far, you played in the G League, now Belgium. Um, Before I ask the question, I guess I should ask: is the goal ultimately the NBA for you?
Yeah, I think that's always going to be the goal you push for. I know. I think just being in the G League, being close to it, being close enough, being in the training camp before, playing a couple preseason games, being that close, it just makes you want to push for, be like, damn, you're right in that window, you're right in that one slot. So just that's always like an end goal in your mind. Just going back to the league, going to the league one day. So, but I like this journey of first year playing overseas, playing in Belgium. I like it so far. I think this is it's all part of the journey. I like playing here. I want to move up in Europe. Me and Levi talk about that all the time. Just a different competition, different level of the game, but can make you a lot better player over here. I feel like if you really learn how to score and learn how to play the game, I think you really have some benefits for sure. So I think Levi could probably speak better on it than me. Than he's played overseas, playing the league, playing the G. But it's definitely I like the different type of game it is over here and the way I have to adjust. It's kind of make me think more.
Yeah, it's a much different style of basketball. Once you get over here and you learn this game and you're able to be productive here, you can really play anywhere. I mean, because you can see the game from so many different angles. You can fit into any system. You can get a bucket when you need to. You can make the right play when you need to. Um, it when Luca said, remember when Luca was like,
Yeah, I
it was
remember. Yeah.
it's harder to score in Europe than it is in the league.
Uh-huh.
I mean, he wasn't lying. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Like
Right. People don't get it.
people in the league, it's kind of one on one. You kind of know where the help is coming from. It's kind of, uh, I mean, you kind of script it all the time, but over here it's kind of random. It's a lot of help, a lot of team defense that you have to try to maneuver around. So, um, I think this is good for people to be able to come over here and get a taste of this kind of basketball also.
Yeah, that was I remember that was one thing when you first got here. I think you weren't playing yet. Yeah, your first game you weren't playing, and you were telling me like, bro, they help from everywhere. And I was like, yeah, you're right. That's what throws me off. Like these dudes don't have a rhythm to how they help. They just will just help from any and everywhere in the weirdest way. I'm like, man, like it's no like it's just like a help
There's no
defense system.
scheme.
Yeah, it's no scheme with it. It's like it's just like a different thing to adjust to and how they help and where they help from and where they step up. It's all like different.
Yeah, because in the States, in the G League and the NBA, you kind of when you get in the lane, you know where the help is coming from. You know
Right.
who's gonna rotate. You know what I mean? Here it's
Exactly.
like it's random. You never know. Two people might run at you just to get the ball out of your hands, or like
For no reason.
for
Yeah.
no reason. It's a lot different.
For sure.
All right, man. Well, hey, I don't have any more long questions. I got some rapid fire questions coming up for you. Levi, do you have any more questions?
The only thing that I mean, I tell Phil every day is like, do you know you're a two-time national champ? Like, like to me, okay, I went to the tournament my freshman year. We kind of took it for granted because I was a freshman, top recruit coming in. I just felt like it was supposed to happen. You know what I mean? And we lost the first game to Creighton with Doug McDermott.
Mhm.
Had a good team. We should have won. We was up, majority of the game. But coming into my sophomore year, I felt like, okay, we'll be right back. Never got back to the tournament, and
Yeah.
it kind of started to dawn on me how tough it was to get to the tournament, let alone make a run,
Mhm.
let alone win it, and you won it twice. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. That's what I'm
that's
saying.
crazy to me.
You understand the grind of how it is to make it there, get in there to state, you know what I mean, stay in the tournament. It's like a whole it's just you gotta really have stuff go your way too. But that second half of the season is really the whole season, to be honest.
It's really madness. When they call it March Madness,
Yeah.
it's really madness.
Yeah, for sure. So man, 2 times is crazy, bro. It's still crazy when people say it to me.
Yeah.
All right. All right, Phil. Well, man, thank you again for coming on. It's been good chatting with you. Look forward to watching some Phil Booth and Levi Randolph connections this year. Fortunately, you're playing in the mornings here, right? Your evening games are mornings here, so I'll be able to watch those a little easier than when you're over in New Zealand, Levi.
Yeah.
All right. So we got some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
Short answers, one word, couple words. If you really want to discuss the question, we can. All right. We're going to get them after you. All right. So
All right.
game day shoes,
Kyrie's.
particular version,
Uh
model.
actually it's really KD's, but I say Kyrie's. Kyrie's this year is either the sevens or last year I played in the sixes a lot. And this year the KD 13s. So it's one of
Nice.
those two.
All right. Casual shoes.
Air Jordan 1 high for sure.
I
All
don't
right.
know, Phil. I've been seeing a lot of dunks coming out on your feet.
Those are the recent grads, but at heart I'm always some J's. I got some here, but at heart I'm always be some ones, man. Always.
Pre-game meal.
Wow. Depends on the day, man. Depends on the day.
It's fair. Best Belgian food so far.
That spot we had last night, the other day we had Levi. I like the artiste.
Yeah,
The ribs I had in there were pretty good.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. We got to hit up. We got to get some Belgian waffles before we leave.
Yeah. I know I gotta get some real ones. Yeah, some real ones. We found some breakfast spots today, so we good. We got some today.
Right on. All right. Best player you've ever played with?
Ooh, shit. Damn. Yeah. I go Mikal. I was gonna say Jalen, but I go Mikal. Jalen wasn't National Player of the Year, but
you weren't gonna say me? Nah, I'm just playing.
We go see Levi. We go see.
Best player you've ever played against?
Chris Dunn in college.
Nice. Favorite video game of all time?
Always will be Madden for me.
And favorite video game right now? I don't even know if you play video games.
Still Madden.
Still Madden. All right.
Still Madden.
All right. Sounds good. Again, thank you, Phil. Thank you all for tuning in to the Backdoor Podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter and Instagram. Follow Levi at Levi Randolph 20. Follow me at Evan R. Skilliter. Phil, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at PhilB_5, Instagram PBooth_5.
And that does it for the Backdoor Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it, fellas.